Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your timeless relationship reading. I'm super excited to get into this reading. I have been feeling some interesting energy all day, so I'm curious to see how it manifests through the cards, all right? Before we get into the reading, I just want to do the usual disclaimer. This is a timeless reading, and that means that the energy is fluid. So past, present, future, it can be about you. It can be a cross watcher. You could be the cross watcher, okay? And not only that, but this reading just might not resonate, or some parts of it might not resonate. It is up to you to use your discernment, okay? Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Do not force any narrative to fit if it does not, okay? But anyway, let's go ahead and just get into this reading, okay? Gemini, I first want to get these cards to see what is the current energy, right? What's happening currently with Gemini in regards to love and relationships, okay? What's going on with Gemini when it comes to their relationships? What's the current vibe? What's the current energy? One card, please. What's the current vibe for Gemini? All right, we have the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords. What's the current energy for Gemini? I just heard defensive. What's the current energy for Gemini? One card, please. We have the Nine of Wands. One more card, please, Spirit. One more card, please. Four of Cups. You're picky. You're picky. Right? I mean, that's the current energy here. Ten of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So for some of you, you have recently ended a relationship, or a relationship has recently ended for you. And maybe not too recently, right? It doesn't have to have been yesterday or last week, but maybe in the past year, you've had some type of relationship end. And with the swords, you know, that's always a pretty harsh ending, right? This is something very final, and maybe even traumatic, right? We have the Nine of Swords right underneath that, right? Right when I said traumatic, something that it kind of haunts you, right? It keeps you awake at night. It's something that sticks in your mind. Whatever happened there, whatever pain happened in this past connection, you still kind of hold this sword close to your chest, right, with this Queen of Swords. So you're in a defensive energy. I would even say more so critical in terms of defensiveness, right? You're judging, right? You're sizing people up when they approach you, when they engage with you, right? And I've also heard you don't let anything slide. You are defensive of, you know, your throne, right? But what does that mean, right? This is something different for everybody, but you're defensive of yourself. You're defensive of your foundations, you know what I mean? And with this Nine of Wands, I feel like there are people who are intrigued by you, but they definitely feel shut out. They feel like there's not really a way to get in or get close to you, okay? But with this Four of Cups, like I said, it's really that for you, you're not happy with these options, right? Like you're looking at them, and like I said, you're criticizing them, but they're not really what you're looking for. You know what I mean? And you see how I notice how this Queen of Swords, she has all these clouds behind her and her hand is reached out. And then here we have this cloud and a hand reaching out holding a cup. And so I feel like for you, there is an ideal. There is something specific that you're looking for. And this doesn't have to be an unrealistic thing. It can just be that there are some things that either line up with what you want or they don't. It's kind of like there's a hard line drawn. You know what I mean? And it's something mental. Maybe you feel like they have to intrigue you mentally, right? The person that you want. They have to be somebody intellectual, somebody who, you know, they're not playing mind games, or at the very least you guys connect mentally is what I'm getting. But anyway, let's get into these 18 plus cards. I want to start with the Tarot of Sexual Magic, and basically we're going to see what can you expect in regards to love and relationships. Okay, Gemini. So what can you expect in regards to love and relationships? Please tell me, Spirit. What can Gemini expect in love and relationships? What can Gemini expect in love and relationships? One card, please. What can Gemini expect in love and relationships? What can Gemini expect? We have Temperance. Strength. Okay. Spirit said you're equal, right? You can expect to receive the right partner, right? The one who's going to give you a balanced connection, right? This is going to be somebody who is able to handle you, right? Who can take it. Somebody who, you know, the reality is that certain people who see your barriers or your boundaries or your walls being up, when people see these things as deterrents, it's because at the end of the day, they probably don't like you that much, or they don't really have the best intentions for you, right? It doesn't have to mean they're a bad person, but in regards to their intentions towards you, it's not real enough to actually, you know, give it a chance or give it a try, right? But with Strength here, the right person is not going to see these, you know, these boundaries as deterrents. They're going to see them as, you know, means of respecting you, right? And I know that might not get here with the Strength, but it's like they're willing to take the challenge. They're willing to do the work. They're willing to show you what they got. You know what I mean? Like, they don't feel like they're weak enough. They don't feel like they have bad intentions. They don't feel like they have something to hide, or that they can't keep up, or that they can't meet your expectations. They don't feel that way. They feel like your expectations are a challenge for them to be a better version of themselves. To them, this is their moment. They should want to prove to you that they can meet your expectations. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of person you're going to attract. With this Temperance, like I said, you can expect to find somebody that's going to meet you halfway. Like I said, they're going to do what it takes to actually get close enough to you to get to know you, right? Because the reality is that the person who wants to stand outside these walls, this person wants you to lower the walls and come to them. This person wants you to open up to them. And it's like, but why should you? They're the ones approaching you. No, this other person, they understand that if they're going to approach you, then they need to approach you. They need to come through. They can't ask you to come outside to talk. No. You're the one who came here. Why do I gotta go meet you outside? No, absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that sounds crazy to some people, but I just feel like sometimes people, they don't understand that they're rejected because they don't come hard enough, or they're not being, you know, real enough. They're being too afraid, or they're playing too many games, or like, you know, people who want to approach you, but then they also want to like bait you to chase them, right? They want to bait you to meet them where they're at. But it's like, you're the one who called my name. You're the one introducing yourself. Why am I chasing, running after you, trying to figure out, no. This other person understands that if they're approaching you, they need to be the one to show you that they're worth trusting. Let's get one more card. What can Gemini expect? What can Gemini expect? One card, please, Spirit. What can Gemini expect? Please, Spirit, just one card. What can Gemini expect? What can Gemini expect in love and relationships? What can Gemini expect in love and relationships? One card, please. What can Gemini expect in love? Okay. We have Knight of Pentacles. Okay. Somebody who puts in the effort. Okay. With the Knight of Pentacles and having this right underneath the Four of Cups, I feel like it's kind of like, I feel like this is a reassurance that your expectations or your critical eye is not as much of a deterrent as maybe you believe or other people might want you to believe. You having a critical eye means that you're more likely to get what you want. You're more likely to get somebody who's going to put in the effort, who's going to, pick the fruit for you and put in an effort to try and get to know you and, walk you home. And, the person who's actually going to see you as, who's actually going to show you that they see you as somebody who is to be cherished instead of just saying it, right? Because some people will say it, but then next thing you know, you're the one doing all the work to maintain the intimacy in the relationship. No, right? You are not going to do that because you have this energy of filtering. You are going to get somebody who is actually worth trying to date, because that doesn't even always mean that you're going to end up being with that person forever, but at the end of the day it'll end up being a dating experience that is at least beneficial to you in some way and not a complete waste of time and energy, right? Like, you ever been in one type of relationship where you're dating somebody, you're talking or whatever, and it just feels like a big huge suck, right? And by that I mean, like, it just feels like this vacuum. Like, when you're with this person, it just feels like this claustrophobic, energetic vacuum. Like, you're just being sucked dry, Whereas that with another person, the relationship feels energetic. It feels fruitful. It feels fun. If, you're laughing, you ever experience that difference? You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what you're trying to avoid. You're trying to avoid relationships that are just sucks, right? That they're just parasitic, and they just, they extract your intimacy. You want somebody who's going to replenish, right? You see how she's pouring into this jug, into these vials, right? There's this, and this, like 3 different containers, and she's pouring them. This is about, like I was saying, like giving back to each other, being reciprocal, you know what I mean? Making sure that you're not the only one, pouring into the other person, that there is a balance between you. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's get some cards from this deck, okay? I want to know if there's somebody going to be coming in. I want to know who's going to be coming in for Gemini, or if anybody's coming in for Gemini. Spirit, who's coming in for Gemini? Who can Gemini expect to come into their life in a romantic sense? Who can Gemini expect to come into their life romantically? Who can Gemini expect to come into their life? One card, please. Okay, we have the Fool. All right, interesting. Who can Gemini expect to come into their life? This is somebody you don't know at all. A stranger, definitely. What is this? The Moon, maybe? Who can Gemini expect? Two of Cups. Interesting. Ooh. Okay. This is somebody, I feel like you're going to meet them. If you're in school, you're going to meet them at school. If you're not in school, or I guess this could apply to anybody, but you're going to meet them out and about, right? You're going to meet them. This is going to be a stranger. You're going to bump into them somewhere where maybe you're spending money or you're learning something, right? Where you're either, somewhere where you're either doing research. Maybe it's a library, maybe it's a bookstore, coffee shop, a cafe. It's somebody you're running into, right? There's drinks here. I feel like you're running into this person while out and about, maybe at a coffee shop. I feel like with the Moon, for some of you, maybe you're going to see this person while out with friends or out at night. So maybe leaving a restaurant or a bar or a restaurant, right? I see you, like you and this person bumping into each other in a place where maybe you could be getting a drink, right? Maybe meeting at the bar, right? A place where there's entertainment. There's some type of other thing there besides the drinks that you're there to see, right? You're there for a common type of entertainment or something. And I see this person, approaching you and you guys kind of hitting it off right away, like having a long conversation, right? And it's like this person, they didn't care that you weren't, super approachable. It's like something about that is what intrigued them here with the Fool card. They felt you being not easy, because you didn't seem super approachable. This person felt like kind of it was a challenge, or it would be exciting, or you kind of represented an enigma or the unknown. You know what I mean? So interesting. That's what you can expect. You can expect to run into somebody while you're out having a good night. And this person is going to invite you out with them, or they're going to buy you a drink. I see you guys going outside to talk, or this person asking you to meet up with them somewhere, or, talk to them privately. Like, I'm also seeing somebody giving somebody their number. Definitely happening if it hasn't already. But anyway, did I want to get... No, I don't want to. Okay, so I'm going to get a message from the message jar here. And then I'm also going to pull a card from this Pear Tree Oracle just to get your overall advice. And then we'll close out the reading, okay? So let's get a message. What is Gemini's overall advice in love? What is Gemini's overall advice in love? What does Gemini need to know? What is Gemini's overall advice in love? Just one message. Okay, we got a message. I'm going to pull a card. What is Gemini's advice in love? One card for Gemini's overall advice in love. Oh, bless me. So, we have growth. Let me go ahead and open this card. This message here. Overall advice in love. Ooh, we got do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor. You know what? Wow, this is kind of spicy, but your advice with that do yourself a favor, I feel like that's kind of affirming what you're doing now, right? You're putting yourself first, and then Spirit is kind of telling you to keep doing that, right? Prioritize what's going to make you happy, what's going to benefit you. And I know sometimes it's hard to do that, especially when so many of us have been taught that love is self-sacrificial always, when the reality is that it's not. There has to be a balance, like I said, with this temperance. Yes, it's good to love others and show love and give, but we also have to make sure we're not allowing ourselves to be drained, that we're not pouring out endlessly into others while they do not return the favor to us. Okay, so return the favor. Do yourself a favor, right? Make sure that what you give, you receive back. And make sure you're not giving at your own detriment. You know what I mean? And I feel like with the growth card, I got that as well, that this is just affirming what you're doing now, that Spirit wants you to know that you have grown. This is growth. And maybe some of you are kind of conflicted because you feel lonely, or you feel like you're running into all these red flags, or you feel like, you know, your standards are making it harder to meet people. But Spirit is saying that's the point, because you're not for everybody. You're not for everybody. So having any and everybody like you, that's not the point of dating. And for Gemini, maybe that's hard, because I personally know a lot of Geminis who have a lot of friends. They're sociable people, and some of them can get caught up in wanting to be liked by everybody. And when that pours into your relationships, it's almost like you are not realizing that friendships and romantic relationships are different. Yes, it's disappointing when you and another person don't vibe, but the point of dating is not to be liked by every single person you're dating, right? Like, the point of dating is to find the right person, and that means weeding people out. And how do you weed people out? By step one, having an entry fee, right? Having certain criteria, having a dress code, having something that filters who can even set foot in the door, right? That makes it easy for you. That reduces, disappointment for you, right? So, and some people will be disappointed that they can't get through the door. Some people will be disappointed that they don't have the right shoes, but that's not your problem, because at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you are curating the relationship that works for you. Okay? So anyway, that's really all I have for you today, Gemini. I really hope you enjoyed this reading. I certainly did. I feel like, I really did enjoy this reading, okay? Oh, and before I go, I just looked at this path card, and I'm looking at all these like creatures in the woods watching this girl on her path. And Spirit wants me to let you know that you may feel tempted or pressured by people to lower your standards. People might try and and this is with anybody, friends, relationships, family, whatever. People may try and make you feel bad for having certain standards in place, but best believe it's only because those standards make it harder for them to have access to you. Okay? Sometimes people will tell you exactly what you need to hear so that it makes it easier for them to get what they need out of you. You know what I mean? Remember that these standards are put in place so that you can stay on the straight and narrow, right? These boundaries make sure that you see your path clearly, okay? These boundaries ensure that you're not distracted and roaming all over the place. They're there so that you can keep your eye on the prize, okay? These other people around, they're the ones that want to distract you. They're the ones that want to infiltrate. They don't want to meet your standards. They just want to make it easier for them to get what they want out of you. So keep that in mind, all right? So that's all I have for you today, Gemini. If you enjoyed this reading, give this video a thumbs up. If you would like to leave a comment, please do that. I love reading your comments. Let me know how it resonated. And if you would like to see more of my videos, then make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Bye, Gemini.